Oh, there we go. That was bizarre. Okay, broadcast webinar. It's happening. Drink old tea. It says over here that webinar is now streaming live on Facebook, but is it actually happening here? I'm going to trust that it is, but what I have to do is now I go to my page and I hit posts, and then I this is the part that gets edited out by my people. They cut all of this out. You guys watching have to watch this, but in the podcast, we cut all of this nonsense out. Okay, great. And then I got to mute that. It's happening, guys. We're live. We're back. Welcome, everyone, to our this isn't a midweek. On the podcast, it goes out midweek, but this is a touch of class on a Friday morning here in the Pacific Northwest, where it is gloomy and rainy and gray. Our guest today is from England, and so I imagine she's got similar weather. Okay, well, turns out that's a dead end for things to talk about. I started down that path, and I realized I've reached the end of this path. So we're going to pull back out. First, I know that this is the part that people love the most. I've gotten tons of feedback. I haven't gotten any feedback on this, but have you ever noticed that people write these marketing emails where they say, like, people always ask me about how I schedule my meetings so effectively. And you're reading that and you're like, nope, no, they don't. Well, that's what people don't ever ask me about tea. I never get anyone telling me that they love the live pouring of the tea, and I don't give a damn. I'm going to just hammer that home. So anyhow, we've got to clear it. This is old tea first, and I really want to get to the new tea. So I'm going to drink all of this in one. It's a lot of tea. I imagine that came through on the mic. We're going to now pour. There's the live pouring of the tea. In it goes. We've got a special treat for you guys watching today. This is, watch this, check this out, tall pour. Look at that. Special treat, gingerbread flavored tea. Let's have that first sip. Just cool it off a bit. Ooh, that's lovely. Just a hint of Christmas. Hello, Hubert Hefner. Also United Kingdomite, I believe. Okay, so this is usually the part where I start to talk about stuff that's slightly more consequential. What can I talk about? I'm going to talk about a few things that are up. How's my week going? My week is going awesome. There's a few things contributing to that. One is I made a post in December, I think because I needed some acknowledgement. It's often the way it goes. Asking people just to post who needs to be seen, who would like some acknowledgement from me. And there's an overwhelming number of people that put their hands up that said, me, I'd like that. Hey, Sachko. Some people thanked me for making that post. Some people kind of, they didn't really ask for it. So they sort of like, oh, acknowledgement is such a nice thing, but didn't say me. I get that. It's kind of scary to ask for that acknowledgement. And so I compiled a list of everyone that said yes. And then I put another note there saying, hey, if you want it, make sure you are like, you ask for it. Make sure you put your hand up so it's clear. Because I don't want to give you a gift that you're not a yes to. And then I've been slowly going through that. So there's a couple things. I like that exclamation mark feels good on you, Sachko. Interesting, neat piece of feedback there. So there's been a couple things as I've been going through that list that have been really present for me. The first is that there's some real ground taken for me in not being overwhelmed by 44 people to acknowledge. Because it's not just, you're cool, next one. You know, there's a lot. Hey, Maria, I love seeing you show up on these lives. Thanks for sticking with us all this time. It means a lot to see you show up. So I appreciate that. So yeah, there's a lot of generating when you're acknowledging someone. It's not just, I like that you put that TPS cover page on your TPS report or whatever it is. It's really getting present to who this person is. So I need to slow myself down. I need to really get present to this person. So it's a lot. It's not effortless. It takes some energy. And what's amazing is 10 years ago, I would have really, 5 years ago, 44 people would have been overwhelming. And I would have really felt it like a burden and frustration. Oh, fuck, why do I have to? Okay, I said I was going to do it, so I was going to do it. Hasn't occurred like that at all. So real ground taken there. The number of people that put their hand up was something I was taking for granted for a while. Like, oh, of course people would say yes to that. Not of course people would say yes to that. It's a real measure, or at least the way I'm holding it is, it's a real measure of who I am in the world and the impact I'm having. And so I'm really honored that that many people put their hand up. The size of that list really occurs to me not as a burden, but as an honor. And then finally, magic happens when you acknowledge someone, even and especially when it's someone you don't necessarily want to acknowledge. I haven't had anyone like that, but if there are people that, if you're like, oh, but what if I have to acknowledge someone I don't like? Well, I hope you get that gift, because it's going to open your heart and it's going to have you start to see things in a different light. That's where transformation happens. Transformation doesn't happen from that jerkwad over there changing who they be. It happens from this jerkwad right here changing the way they relate to the world. So there's that. And the other thing that's been a real gift to me is a bunch of people put up their hand that I don't even know. We've probably gotten connected somehow. Maybe they saw a video of mine, or maybe I saw a video of theirs and I added them, or however it came about. And they said, oh, I would love that. And then I get this incredible opportunity to go and just look at their Facebook, look at a photo of them, and really feel, I'm going to let you in on my process here. I scan their page and then I look at a photo of them and I ask myself, what am I present to? What shows up when I look into this person's eyes? A little bit of mischief, actually. Seems like they'd be fun to get into trouble with. Oh, and wow, love and some real wisdom. The challenge in this is trusting yourself, because the place a lot of us get stuck is like, well, I'm just making this up. And that's true, but there's a reason you're making up the stuff that you're making up. You're not making up diamond hard strength. You're making up love and wisdom. And so, well, Hubert, that post is still there. So go on my page and raise your hand. Say you would like me to acknowledge you, and I would love to do so. So, and that goes for anyone watching. If you have not yet gotten acknowledgement from me, by all means, go find that post and say, I would love some of that, Adam. Give me some of that juice. So I look at their photo. I have to trust what I see. And then I just send them a voice, usually about 4 or 5 voice messages acknowledging this version of who they are, trusting that what I see has some merit. It's edgy. It can be kind of scary, like giving any gift, right? What if they don't like it? What if they wanted black socks instead of orange mittens? All of that stuff shows up, and that's the edge that we get to walk in giving love to people. So that practice has provided me a great deal over the holidays as I sort of start my week and go through this. It's been amazing. I'm going to talk about a distinction, and then we're going to bring on special celebrity guest Amanda Hummingbird. I'm going to share a little bit about who she is for me and how we came connected before I do that. So the distinction I want to, hey, Dylan, good to see you, man. The distinction I'm going to talk about before we bring on Amanda is collapsing our intention with our impact. This happens constantly. I see this all the time. It's not wrong. It's incredibly human. And if you can start to separate these two, you can really get access to a lot of power for yourself. Look at this. I've got a Bill Clinton. This is a Bill Clinton way of pointing to people. The thumb is less aggressive than me pointing at you like that. So that's also this is a leadership distinction. Feels weird. I'm going to stop doing it. I'm having fun, but it feels weird. So here's how collapsing intention with impact sounds. I or someone might provide feedback like, hey, let's imagine I'm giving feedback to someone, whoever, and they're like, hey, and I would say, I'm doing my best to provide good art. So assume that I'm being artful in providing this, because otherwise we get caught up in like me not being, anyhow, you get the idea. So I'd say, hey, Reggie, thanks for that email. I really appreciate it. I'm going to acknowledge them for who they are and say, I'd love to give you some feedback. Are you open to that? I say, yeah, totally. Great. So the impact I was left in, I really get this isn't what you were intending, but it felt like you had just found my name. I was one of the people you'd added on Facebook. 3 days later, you're doing an email blast for your event and you just throw it at me. And the impact I'm kind of left in is I'm just a statistic for Reggie. He doesn't really care. He's not really interested in taking the time to get to know me. He's just throwing stuff at me and hoping something's going to stick. And so when that's the impact I'm left in, where I end up is I just delete it. I don't pay any attention to it. I kind of write that person off. I'm like, yeah, they're not really making any difference. So, and then next time I'm even less likely to read their thing. Okay, so let's assume there's probably more I would say to make that even more artful feedback, but never mind that. Here's how collapsing intention and impact sounds. They get that feedback and they go, oh, that's totally not what I'm doing. Here's why I did what I did. Here's why that works for me. Here's blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of justification for where they were coming from. Oh, I wasn't intending to do that at all, blah, 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 blah. Totally fine. I get, and I'm going to trust whoever gave that feedback in our hypothetical scenario also gets that that wasn't your intention. That is not what you intended to leave the person in. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. That's the trap of this. Our intention really is probably good. Most of us have pretty positive intentions. Yeah, sometimes we're tired, we're overwhelmed, we're desperate, we're hungry, we're just trying to play the numbers game, we're just trying to get some people into our program because we know there we can serve them. Whatever it is, sure, we've got a positive intention. The intention is entirely separate from the impact. And so what really allows you to be responsible for the life and the experience and the world you're creating, and what allows you to have power and to really start to make a difference as a leader in the world, is to always check your intention, then set it aside so you can get responsible for your impact. It doesn't matter if my intention is to elevate someone and make them feel better, if the impact I'm leaving them in is that they're small and stupid. Doesn't matter that I thought, hey, well, my intention is blah, 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 blah. If this person's left feeling small and stupid and insignificant, the intention I have is not going to it's not going to matter. It's not going to happen. And so this disconnect between what we're intending and the impact we're actually having is really important as a leader. What most of us do is we can never really get present to this. And the reason we can't get present to it is because we defend our impact. We feel bad about it, and then we need to justify it by putting our attention back on our intention. So what gives you a tremendous amount of access to your own power, your ability to be responsible and to take ownership for everything happening in the world around you, is to separate these two. Really to check your intention, because sometimes our intention is, yeah, actually I do want to make this person a client, and I'm fucking tired of reaching out to everyone, and I just want to throw numbers at the wall. Great. Then just be willing to own the impact that leaves people in. If you're willing to own that, great. What I find is that often people have a positive intention, are leaving people in an impact that's not really what they want, and then are unable to just be with this. They're not able to just take a look at it like, wow, that's what I'm leaving people with. Maybe I should try something different. Instead, they make this impact about the other person. And if you always make the impact about the other person, you're never really going to be able to take any ownership of it. It's not your fault. It's the other person's fault. That dingus should just sort themselves out and receive my positive intention the way I intended it. You can do that. You will forever be stuck. You'll be ceilinged at a certain level of capacity to influence the world, to take ownership, to lead people forward. So collapsing intention and impact, if you can separate those two out, and if you can really get present to the impact and get responsible for it, your world will shift, create magic, promise. Let's have a sip of tea in this awesome Q mug. Where are you from, Q mug? Indigo. I think that's a Canadian company, maybe. I don't know. It's like the WH Block of Canada. Damn, that gingerbread's good. You know what's a disappointment? Gingerbread houses. You know why? Because you make it and then you got to let it sit and get stale before you can eat it. That's a dumb system. What I think we should do is make gingerbread houses, take a photo, and then eat the gingerbread house. That's brilliant. Better impact. Okay. Polarizing opinion there. Might get some hate mail from that one. let's talk about Amanda. So Amanda and I don't know how we connected. It might have been through, I made a post somewhere, and good morning, Ms. Thompson. Might have made a post somewhere on the internet Tron or on Facebook, and she might have added me that way. But every now and then, I have a lot of people add me. And for the most part, what I do, they add me without any context, just this person wants to be your friend. And what I do is I check to see if they're a real person. Are they sharing anything on their Facebook profile? And if yes, usually I add them as a friend and then I immediately unfollow them. It's nothing personal. It's just they haven't given me any reason to follow them. So I'm not going to give them my attention. I'm happy to be friends. I don't mind that connection. What with Amanda, something different happened. Like she added me or I think she added me. And then I was like, there's something here. And we started chatting and just stayed in touch. And anytime someone has the last name like Hummingbird, I often think, morning, Derek. Hummingbird, that sounds a little hippie. Like if someone had the name Reggie Light Rocks or I don't know, something like that. Sounds like a made up name. What I learned is that she brings the magic, not woo is not quite the right word, but let's use woo, the mysticism, the magic, the shamanistic quality of Hummingbird into integration with like integrity and commitment and devotion. And boy, do we need more people like that in the world. And so I've gotten to see Amanda step over her edge again and again and again. There's a period where she was one of the people in the Samurai Coaching Dojo when I was leading that work, and I got to play with her that way. And so it was super cool when she put up her hand and said, hey, I would love to, let's do this thing. Let's do this live coaching. So excited to bring her on. Amanda, get that camera on, get that audio on, unmute yourself, get in here. Say, yay, hello. How was that whole process for you?
It was, I'm just full of nerves.
Great. So me being a moron didn't put you any at ease.
It did. I was laughing a lot,
okay,
but
good.
Still carrying these nerves, but yes.
Okay, cool. I have that too. And what I find is I'm usually nervous for the first like 2 minutes, and then we start and then we're in a conversation and it magically seems to like go away. So
yeah.
Cool. Anything you want to share about how we came to know each other? Do you want to share anything about our origin?
Yeah. So I remember coming across, it was a post of yours on Facebook that really got my attention. And then I remember, I think I then came across Bay and I started having a look at the work that you both do. And then I think I reached out to both of you to have a conversation about coaching. And that's how we connected.
So cool. Those, I think you used our website for that, right? Like the Let's Talk or something.
Yeah,
those,
I did. Yeah.
It's so neat that we're in this conversation today, because often I think the fantasy of coaches, or the fantasy of our profession a little bit, is we'll get a website, it'll be really good, and then all these leads are going to come in. My experience generally is when people fill that out, first, it's a lot of courage. It's a lot of vulnerability to just fill that out and say, hey, I'd love a conversation. But then for the most part, it kind of tends to fall away, not because there's anything wrong with that person, but it's just like we don't have a lot of relatedness at that point. And so it's super cool that that's not what happened. We like have built a relationship and gotten to play and partner in various ways. So super cool. Okay, so where are we going to go today? What are we going to talk about?
So I really noticed coming up a bit, building up to sitting here in front of you now, the need to try and control.
Oh no, did you just freeze?
Am I frozen?
We'll give you a chance to come back.
Am I
usually
back?
What I do for those watching, I hope it's not me that froze. It might be me. My technique is to dance. And then when the video comes back, it's my internet connection's unstable. That's fun. Can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
You're fine.
Okay.
I think everyone's like,
good.
I get to hear Amanda talk, but Adam's just like that. Okay, please continue or start over.
So I was noticing the build up towards sitting in front of you today, that the need for me to try to kind of, first of all, find something that I wanted to be coached on, and notice that the need to kind of control what I was going to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of set the intention that I was going to let that go and try and be surrendered to this moment more and be as authentic as I can to get the most out of it. And so something that I think has come up around having this conversation with you is this fear of being seen by everyone who's watching as I'm trying to find my words now. Nerves are getting the better of me.
You're doing great.
So the fear of being almost like being found out that I have one client and not more than that, and that I'm an inexperienced coach, and that I'm at the beginning of my coaching journey as such, and that's going to affect people wanting to work with me. And so there's this, I can feel this kind of sick feeling in my stomach now. I've just shared that. So yeah, that's what's really present to me, and I'd like to talk about that, I guess.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Amanda, thanks for just putting it out there. Thanks for owning that and sharing your truth, both sides of it. You know, like, here's the truth, and then here's how I feel about having that as my truth. What are you present to now that you've shared that?
I feel a bit sick. I'm happy that I shared it, because I guess there's this kind of contradiction in myself, where I want to be really transparent and authentic, but it's also something that I've been kind of hiding as well, and not really sharing with other coaches and people that I started on my journey with, and so I'm happy that it's out there.
Nice.
Guess.
Yeah. Do you feel like lighter or heavier having shared it?
A bit of both. I think I'm present to a bit of shame. Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I want to acknowledge you for before we go any further is your courage, and like the fact that you're already doing the work. You know, the power of the monster under the bed comes from that you must not look at the monster under the bed. You must not even speak of it, because if you do, it bites your face off, obviously, and then you die. You need a face. And here you are, just like, well, let's get our head right under that bed. Let's talk about what we see. And so is that, I'm curious, there's kind of like, one, I want to know what you'd like to leave here with regards to this, but then maybe before we get there, I can just ask, like, is that how you have been being with regards to this thing? Or, like, by which I mean sort of putting it out on the table, sharing that truth, or have you been being different about it?
I've been being different about it. I've been not talking about it.
Not
openly. So yeah, it's something that I definitely have kind of like kept slightly hidden, because I feel some shame around it, because I feel like maybe I should be further along. I should be more successful, I guess, than where I am already.
Right. Got it. Okay, cool. So you're practicing something different even in this moment.
Yeah.
Nice work. That's pretty cool. Okay, so what would you love to, like, I totally get that. And what would you like to leave here with? Like, what would you like to have happen with that?
I guess I'd like to be free of this shame behind feeling that I need to be somewhere else than I am with it. And yeah, just free of the shame.
Cool. So it's not like, I'm not hearing, I would like 50 clients immediately, Adam. It's
well,
more,
I would like that as well. That would be really great.
Totally.
I'm not ruling that out. I'm so not ruling that out. Yeah.
So totally, I get that too. But there is like I can hear some, the deeper thing it feels like is really to be where you are with like free of the shame around it. So you can really be where you are.
Yes, where I can be where I am and be okay, be just honest with myself and with whoever I'm talking to, or a potential client, and not have to feel like I have to pretend to be, more successful in that way than I am, in order to get someone to work with me.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's like it sounds like the source of the shame is kind of this story, like I should be somewhere where I'm not. I should be somewhere other than where I am currently. Is that about right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, where should you be? And I want you to answer not from like, your higher elevated, better being of pure energy self, but like from the story. Answer from inside the story.
Well, I should have an abundance of clients.
Got it. What is an abundance, just so I'm clear?
I like 10 clients.
Okay, got it. Nice. Okay, and is there anything else?
No, I think that's really it. It's like and I know that it kind of comes from a comparison place as well, because I kind of look at other people that I started this whole journey a few years ago with, and I kind of see their success, and I kind of think, oh well, why aren't I there? What's going on? What am I not doing? What am I doing? That kind of thing.
Right.
And so the shame comes in. It's like, maybe I'm not good enough.
Got it. I'm just going to make a note here to talk about something later, and keep you in suspense about it. So an abundance of clients, the number roughly give or take is 10. So that's good. We've got it kind of like narrowed down. It's not like I should be coaching at a higher level. It's not like I'm not asking the right questions. It seems pretty clear. It's like really in the creation of your coaching practice where there's this experience of shame, as opposed to like you're talking to a client, you're like, oh my God, I feel like a fraud. I can't ask the right questions. That's not what's in your space.
There's a little bit of that as well, definitely.
Right. Okay.
There's a little bit of that. There's definitely that's definitely come up in my conversations with my coaches the last week. It's this whole kind of, oh, I'm a fraud, and there's definitely that.
Got it. Is that as intense as the sort of client game itself? Or is that sort of like a little bit less sharp than the number of clients that you should or should not have?
I think it's on a par. It's kind of about the same. Yeah.
So what would we call that? Is that like you're doubting your ability as coach? What's the name we can put on that?
Yeah, I think I'm doubting my ability as a coach. Like I've had quite many discovery calls and many no's. I'm really good at receiving the no's.
Nice work.
Yeah. So I guess that's that as well.
Well, that's a really, Amanda, I really acknowledge even that, because I know that getting acknowledged for that is like, yeah, I know, but no's aren't paying the bill. But it's also like, we have to, for a baby to learn how to walk, they got to be falling down. If the baby's like, well, I've never fallen down, you got to start falling down, buddy. That's how we get you to walk. And then of course you acknowledge the baby for falling down. They're like, yeah, but that's not going to win me that gold medal at the Olympics. So we're acknowledging you for where you are. You're already doing more than a lot of people in your profession are willing to do. Do you get that?
Yeah, I do.
We won't stop there. Please, what were you going to say?
I'm just really present, feeling really upset right now.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I don't know. It's just an emotion running through me. It hasn't got anything. There's nothing with it. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling right now. It's passing.
What is that emotion? We won't go too deep into it, but
it was just sadness. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you for feeling that. Let me know if that shows up again, okay?
Yeah.
So there's some stuff that well, let me ask one more question. What are you using? You've got some evidence about like your client practice. You don't have 10 clients, you have one. Do you have any evidence for that other belief that, oh, I don't ask the right questions, or I'm not doing the right thing, or, whatever?
Only from what I feel in myself, I guess.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the sound of that feeling? Like, what does it say to you?
Oh, I should have asked this. I should have asked that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Not great, but great. So some doubting in your ability as coach, some shame around where you're at. You're not where you should be. Let me just be with that. So what do you try to do with this? What are the strategies or the things you're doing to deal with this problem?
I pretend that it doesn't affect me. And it feels like I'm pretending that I'm doing really well. And I do think I'm doing really well, but then there's this side of me that says, oh, well, you're not doing as well as everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It occurs like both are true. Like you're doing really well. You've gotten a lot of no's. To your credit, you're in the game in a way a lot of coaches aren't. And there's some stuff that doesn't feel like you're doing really well. And you're kind of trying to compensate or pretend that the low part of your wave, if you like, isn't there.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like you can let yourself feel half of what you're feeling, but then you have to deny the other half. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So pretend it doesn't affect me. Talk yourself into like, just focus on the parts that are good. So do your clients or your prospects or whoever you're talking to, do they get to feel you in that? Things are pretty good. Do they get to feel you in that part?
I guess so. I mean, it's not a conversation that ever comes up with my clients, but I definitely, what just came to mind is like, if someone asks me how I'm doing, I can feel how uncomfortable that question feels with me. And I kind of stumble through the answer and say, yeah, no, I'm doing really well.
So bubbliness.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas actually inside, and it's like, oh, well, if I can just tell them this and not tell them this part.
So if you were to answer that question from like a really, not like you have to be a veteran telling war stories, but just like if you were to answer that question from the fullness of everything that's going on, what would you tell people?
that I'm having a lot of conversations with people and potential clients, and I've had a lot of no's. I had a yes. I have one amazing client who I'm really enjoying working with, and I'm still here. Yeah.
So that's like the facts of what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how are you doing? What is your experience around, like, because that's part of the fullness too, right? It's not just the
Right.
fact. And I
Yes.
acknowledge you
Yeah.
for sharing those facts.
Yeah. And I guess the fullness is that I'm also present to feeling like I should be doing better, and that sometimes the no's impact me in a way where it's disheartening. Yeah, I get disheartened, and now I feel upset again. I feel like I'm going to cry.
Got it. Yeah, there's a real tender part of you in that, hey?
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you to cry, don't worry. But I will ask you to like breathe with that. So just give that whatever's showing up like some oxygen. So often we suffocate our emotions and what we're feeling. And if you imagine someone suffocating, are you able to hear me while you be in that practice? Great.
Mm-hmm.
If you imagine someone suffocating, they grasp, they grab a hold of anything they can. And so that's what happens. We try to we suffocate literally. We don't bring breath to that part of ourselves. It's really tender and deep and soft, and then it grasps a hold of and it sticks around. You're doing really great, Amanda.
Thanks.
What are you present to in this moment?
Relief.
Tell me more.
Relief of I just want to be me. I don't want to have to pretend.
Yeah. What's the story about? You are so delightful, first of all. Tears and all, like tenderness, softness. I'm more present to more of you in this conversation in this moment. So I have an agenda, which is I want more of Amanda too, and I reckon the rest of the world does as well. The bad news is this is a part of you, right? This is part of your expression as human being, as spirit, or whatever you want to call it. What's the story about this part of you?
What comes up straight away is that I keep trying, and I just never get there.
So therefore, the thing to do is what?
Pretend. Hide it.
I'm
fake
curious.
It. Fake it till you make it.
And I'm really curious, does that breed an experience of hopelessness at all? Because I could imagine if you're sort of like pretending on top of I'm never going to get there.
Yeah, it does feel like that's the disheartening side of it. It just feels, oh gosh, will this ever be different? When will this be different?
Got it. What's the story about other people seeing this?
I'm not quite sure. There's a bit of confusion around that. It's not very clear. they won't like me. They won't want to work with me.
Because
I clearly can't get clients.
Do you ever see this tendency in your clients or your prospects, the people you're talking to?
Yeah, it's like validation for like what you're doing. Yeah, I guess I do see it. Yeah.
Well, let me make sure I'm being clear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I'm not clear. Yeah.
What I'm asking is, do you ever see your clients kind of operating like trying to create joy or possibility, or it's all good over top of like a disheartened experience of hopelessness?
I'm not sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's the truth. Yeah.
Great. Are you able to write? I'm going to give you some practices.
Mm-hmm.
So the first practice is to start looking for this.
Mm-hmm. Can you repeat what I'm looking for again?
Yeah. So basically, well, let's have you create this. So like, what is the strategy you're running to solve this, so to speak?
Okay, so start looking for pretending, masking the disheartened feeling. Oh, I don't know how to put it into words. Yeah,
You're doing great.
Masking the underlying feeling with pretense.
Yeah, and what kind of pretense? Yeah,
with everything's okay, pretense, joy, happiness.
great.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can't remember what I said now.
I got it for you. So
yeah.
masking an underlying feeling of like hopelessness or disheartened.
Yeah.
It feels like hopelessness, really sort of like,
yeah.
disheartened is like a softer way to say it. Let's go right to the meat.
Yeah.
Of hopelessness with a pretense of like everything's fine, joy, etc.
Yeah, with the pretense. Yeah.
Tell me when you've got that.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. So it's not surprising that it's hard for you to see it because you're actively like doing it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that. And if you don't have to see it, you don't have to feel that sadness that showed up. You don't have to really be confronted by the hopelessness, and you don't have to be with it. There, if you really take a moment to just even be with life itself, there's a hopelessness to it. I'm not saying life is hopeless. I'm saying that there is an element, there is like part of life is that it's hopeless. We don't get out of it alive. And no matter how much we do, there's 7 billion of us. We're going to be forgotten in 1,000, 2,000, 3, like whatever someone's holding on to. But no, my spirit, but this, there is a degree of hopelessness that is just inherent in our life. Just like there's a huge degree of hope too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is part of my intention here is to give you like a broader perspective to see like this is a part of life that is just challenging for you currently to be with. Make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah.
So of course it's a challenge to see right now. So start to look for this. Look for this in the people you're talking to. Look for this showing up with you. Look for it in the world. And then you know what you're going to do about it? What do you think?
Be with it.
You're good. Exactly. You're not going to change it. You're not going to fix it. You're not going to, we should be hopeful or anything. You're just going to be with it. and notice whatever shows up.
I can
Oh,
now already think back to like so many times when I felt it and I've just covered it up, just avoided feeling it and dismissed it. I'm
yeah,
very,
felt it in yourself or in other
yeah.
people?
No, felt it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
And it's like, it makes so much sense because who you are just as a being on this planet is like possibility and harmony and love and inspiration,
Mm.
all of which would be like no to hopelessness, right?
Mm-hmm.
The magic, the mysticism of life, I really believe exists in the tension between the poles that get created. Like, you can't have love without heartbreak. You can't have trust without betrayal. You can't have inspiration without apathy and mundanity. And now I've forgotten you're here. I'm sort of trying to coach myself through some stuff. It's not working, by the way. So practice noticing it and then practice being with it.
Mm.
Can you think of any conversations, and you may not be able to, and that's fine, but where you've been with someone and it's like, wow, it feels like we're kind of both pouring champagne on top of stuff. Like, it's a really bubbly, high, fun, falutin kind of conversation, but maybe there's something not quite here for us. Have you had any conversations like that?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I actually had one today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great catch.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot to be with this. It demands a certain kind of capacity for me to be willing to let you sit in that sadness and that hopelessness. I have to be able to be there myself. If I have a need, if I can't be with my own hopelessness or whatever it happens to be, I'm going to naturally try to push you away from it. Like, let's pour on some more champagne. Let's not be with it. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
This is a fundamental truth in coaching, leadership, and just who we be as humans, is that if we can't let ourselves sit in it, we can't let other people sit in it.
Yep.
What do you think might shift in your life if you didn't have to cover this up? So I'm just going to clarify. I'm not saying that it necessarily went away. Just saying that all the stuff stacked on top of it, none of that was necessary.
Yeah. Freedom, more freedom, feeling more free to just be with whatever shows up.
Tell me about that. Like, give me some places, make it real for me. Like, imagine some places in your life where we would see that difference taking hold.
I'm not sure I can find the words. I guess it's like this. The freedom to accept myself, and to be willing to allow myself to be seen exactly as I am, and that creates a sense of freedom for me, so I don't have to pretend anymore.
What would be the impact?
Area.
Oh, please.
Yeah, no, that was it.
So what would be the impact of that in, say, like around your friends, for example?
I could just be honest, just be completely and utterly honest, and not feel like I had to pretend that I'm somewhere else than I am, and that I'm okay with that. And so I can that gives everybody else permission to be honest as well, I guess. And then we can all be really honest with each other, and be loving and accepting of each other, and hear each other without any judgment or blame, I guess. Freedom for me.
And these are my words, so I want to make sure that they're not right because I'm saying them. Just check them out. But like, I hear in that like a lot of intimacy and love that would get created.
Yes, and that's what I want more of, more and more and more, intimacy and love. Yeah.
Of course, that's who you are. Of course, you'd want more of that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about like, so what do you imagine would get created just even in the conversations you're having with people if you didn't have to stack this stuff on top?
An ability to speak what's in the space, what I'm feeling, an ability to just notice it and speak it out loud.
Mm.
And that instantly diffuses the charge.
And how would that shift your experience of those conversations?
It would be really empowering. It would come from a really empowered place where I'm really owning it all.
How do these, like, what's your current experience? You're going into a conversation with a prospect, like what's the current experience?
The current experience is this fear of, oh, what if they see this? What if they, what, you know, so it's like, it's disempowering. It feels like, yeah, I'm giving my power away somewhere to this, and doesn't feel good.
Got it. And so it sounds like there'd be, first of all, it'd be more empowering, and then it feels like this is like there's some energy to this, like you got to kind of work this construct a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Manage it. It's like I'm constantly like having to manage the situation more.
And would there, so if that was all gone, what would that leave you with more or less of?
Space, more space. More
What
space
else?
to create, more space to create, more freedom, more intimacy, more connection, more of more.
More, MOAR.
Just more.
What would it leave you with? More energy? I'm curious.
Yes, it would leave me with more, and a much more, a lighter energy, a more expansiveness, expansive energy.
Beautiful. You feel all of those things in this moment. You feel more of, you feel lighter, and like there's more freedom in your space and more intimate with me and more.
Yes.
Is that your experience of yourself?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for you and everyone, people often want, you know, we saw this part about like energy, right? There's going to be more available, more of you available, more energy. And we think that certain people, experiences, circumstances are draining. And we're like, oh, the problem is Joe Fathead. He's the problem. He's draining to be around. But it's not that. It's that when we're around Joe Fathead or client Reggie or whoever, is that these are good names, by the way.
Really great.
Very pleased with myself. Yeah.
Joe Fathead. I like the sound of him.
What were his parents thinking? Anyhow. So Joe Fathead, when we're around him, whoever he's being drives up this part of ourselves where we're like, oh my God, I have to be a certain way. And that drives up this construct that you and I have been talking about, different for everyone. When I'm around someone really, really clearly brilliant, I don't really let this pattern play out anymore, or very rarely, but there's a part of me from my fear that's like, show how smart you are. And it's not, my truest self is to just trust who I am. But from that place, I'm like scrabbling, like, oh, what's a fancy word with a lot of syllables I can say? What's a blah, 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 blah. That's what's draining.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm really present to is available for you, Amanda, is just like the freedom of being where you are and all of the spaciousness that could come from that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you imagine that with more space, freedom, intimacy, connection, more energy, more levity, that would have an impact on being hired?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Here's the last place I'm going to invite you to look is now imagine these people, your clients, that are playing the same game you are, because our clients are always engaged in the same strategies we are. It's just the magic of the universe. I don't know how that works. We draw the same energy to us that we are.
Yeah.
So if you imagine them, what do they need you as coach to model for them?
To model this, to speak the truth, to speak what's in the space.
Yeah. Not just for them, but for you, right?
But for me, yeah. With them, in a conversation with them as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is that going to mean you're probably going to be confronted with as you practice doing that?
Vulnerability and
let me just check in. Are you trying to think of the answer right now?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, great. You're doing fine. So
I knew that as soon as I did it. I was like, well, no, where's this coming from?
Yeah. So you've already felt it here with me.
Yeah.
So just put yourself back like, hey, as I've put this out into the space, what have I had to feel? What's come up for me that's been there? What's the experience I've had on this conversation?
I'm now confused about what the question is.
It's okay. It's because I'm saying it incredibly confusing. So what to lay the planks, right? You're clear. Wow. In practicing this, there's more space, freedom, energy, light, all of that good stuff that becomes available. You can see that would have an impact in your client game. You can also see like what your clients, the people that are here to work with you really need from you in terms of modeling something is putting this on the table, letting this be, letting people see this part of you. Yes. And so now I'm asking, the question is in putting this onto the table, and we can use this conversation as like the petri dish. What can you expect to have show up for you?
More connection. I'm trying to. I can feel it, and I can't find the words.
Yeah, you're doing great. Let me give it to you even easier. What's happening is I'm giving you the dots, and I'm sort of giving it to you to connect. Did we freeze? Have I frozen? I've totally frozen.
Yes, you have.
At least you froze in a good spot. I'll wait till I'm back. Gotta dance. Oh, I'm back.
You're back. Yeah.
Okay, good.
You froze like this.
You froze very beatifically.
Like this.
Two mudras. Okay, yeah. So I'm laying out the dots for you to connect them. I'm going to move them even closer, not because you're dumb. Just sometimes we need that. Yeah. So you've been in the actual practice of exactly what we're talking about in this conversation, right? You've been sharing this. You've been letting people see this side of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some stuff has shown up for you as you've done that, right?
Yeah.
What has shown up for you? What have you been with on this conversation?
I've been with my hopelessness. I've been with my hopelessness. I've been with the feeling of hopelessness.
And that's what emotional texture has that driven up for you?
And that brought up sadness, tears. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of grieving, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Amanda, you are doing such beautiful work right now. I'm so grateful for your tenderness and what you're touching for the people that it's going to make a difference for. There are a lot of people that are here to inspire us in terms of what's possible. And it's currently blocked from them because they can't be with this part that you're willing to feel and experience and face. That's fucking leadership.
I want to be able to hold space for people to feel that too.
Yeah. I so get that about you. It's just the most obvious thing in the world. I don't know how it's possible, but the fullness of your cheeks and your smile is even greater than when we started. It's amazing. You're very radiant. So clear on the path. Clear what the gate for you to walk through looks or feels like. And what is that? Just so I make sure that my words aren't being too confusing.
Being with my hopelessness, being with whatever shows up, and not masking it, not trying to smooth it over, pretend it's not there.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to say a few more things just to like give you some ways to play with this, to create art with this. The first thing is the caveat, like you've kind of been laying stuff on top of this for a while, and you're pretty good at that. Like that game, you know, right? It's got some consequences. You are often left with an ongoing low grade feeling of hopelessness, but you can kind of be bubbly over top. As you dive into this, at first, it's a little bit like Bambi getting on the ice. You're not graceful, and maybe you even fall through the ice, or maybe something less that feels less morbid than that, but you get the idea. So really be willing to practice and to make bad art, because that's the only way for us to make good art, is to make bad art.
Yeah.
This is for everyone. This is both, if you're listening to this thinking like, oh yeah, well, Amanda's a coach and it's different. He's talking about coaches. This is an entire conversation Amanda and I are in, is about leadership. That's all that this is about, is being willing to be what is called for in the space and walk through all of the reasons why not. Sadness, hopelessness, et cetera, et cetera. So one, if you practice anywhere, Amanda, you'll practice everywhere. So you can practice with your prospects, and I really suggest taking that on. And you can also practice it just at home by yourself. Like if you meditate or anything, you can sort of just tap into this and feel it and let yourself be it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
The other thing is that you will develop art with this and the ability to allow yourself to feel this while still being there with your client. So over time, you'll be able to like feel that heartbreak, and maybe it even looks like soft crying or whatever is there on your side, but still be like able to hold the container for your client. And at first, you may not be there yet, and that's okay. So all that really matters is practice with it, and make sure you're playing on a gradient and that you're at least 1% uncomfortable. 1% expressing, being with more sadness, more of the hopelessness that's there. And finally, we are not saying go and be sad. And I know you get this, but I'm just saying this for everyone that's listening. The practice for Amanda is to feel what she already feels. It's not a practice of go and fabricate tears and fake tears now on top of the fake joy, on top of the real hopelessness. So it's not another layer on top. It's going down and being with what's already there, so as to create freedom, love, light, intimacy, etc. How are you doing in this moment, Amanda?
I feel great.
Yes, you do. You feel really great. You have so much radiance. There's just so much in, and you feel really soft in this moment too.
I feel soft, yeah.
Nice. I would like to acknowledge you by way of finishing up, but I want to check before we start to move to that and then to the sort of debrief. Is there anything left in this conversation, any other practices you want to take on, or anything left to have our conversation be complete?
No.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, then, Amanda, I would love to first acknowledge your radiance, because it's so fucking obvious. Thanks for your smile. Thanks for the love and the light and the joy and the possibility that you are. Thanks for the courage. Like, it's such a, I'm always really moved by people whose, this is going to get a little esoteric, but like people whose souls chose like the path of inspiration or of like deep possibility, because it means really, no matter what path our soul chose, it means being with the shadow of that too. And I really acknowledge the courage, the willingness, and really the depth of the capacity of your heart. You know, like you would not be able to hold this much capacity for inspiration and possibility if you didn't also have the capacity to feel that deeply into the hopelessness of this beautiful existence that we call life. Thank you so much for being willing to take this on in service of others as well as yourself. This is the nobility of coaching and leadership, is that, yeah, we want to have the lucrative profession that comes with it, but like the work is here right now with us, feeling that stuff first and foremost, and trusting that if we do that, it will bring about the other stuff. Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
work.
Thank you so much, Adam.
All right. So we got about 20 minutes. Everyone watching, which Amanda cannot see, if you have questions, comments, thoughts, anything at all that you would like to contribute, we would love to hear it, and just post it over there in the comments and I'll bring it in. Amanda, anything you are sort of present to or that you'd like to share, or anything along those lines, or even questions or stuff like that?
I feel so much relief that I've had this conversation. It's been so powerful. I'm really, really grateful to you, Adam, and for this opportunity to do this. I feel like it's a huge breakthrough for me. Yeah. To be able to be with this now and be aware of it and notice it and not have to hide it anymore.
Yeah. It's so simple, isn't it? Like, I'm often present to that. Not easy. It's kind of hard because it's so simple. We add all this complication because it's hard for us to be with all of what it is to be a human. But boy, is there a lot of energy. There's an infinite amount of energy on the other side of all of this stuff. That's what I get present with. I want to make because you used the B word, you said breakthrough. The one thing I want to add is that breakthroughs happen not just in the insight, but also when we marry action to them. So make sure you practice. And for everyone, that's really important, I think, to own that and honor that. Insight alone doesn't shift our lives. It's insight and then acting from that insight that changes everything. So thanks. And thanks for getting like the impact of that insight. Like, I really get, you're not just using that word flippantly. There's really something that you're present to. And I also want to honor, you really did like take action in this call. This is one of the core competencies of coaching. The International Coach Federation, love them or hate them, whatever is your deal, that's fine. But is part of their creating actions with clients is do it now. Support the client to do it now on the call, which is why you and I went there together on the call rather than like after the fact. So I really acknowledge you, Amanda, for being willing to like lean out over that edge right here, right now, rather than after we finish and it's a little safer and more sanitized. Karen, I'm just reading what Karen wrote. Karen KGB, our friend KGB, who also said, Amanda, hello, my magical clanmate, Amanda Hummingbird. Karen
Hi,
and Amanda. Karen and Amanda were fellow samurai in the Samurai Coaching Dojo. That was fun. And Karen says, I just jumped on 5 minutes ago. I love the way you, I'm guessing me, spoke about leadership as walking beside and with our heartbreak and walking through to what's good and right. Yeah, that's leadership for our lives. One other thing I'm going to point to is that, so we kind of got to basically the flow of this conversation was, Amanda, you brought something, and then we kind of like looked at, we basically went down through the layers of like, okay, what is this being stacked on top of, and then what's the actual thing at the bottom? And when that sadness started to show up, I was like, okay, I think we might be getting towards the thing. Sadness is not always an indicator, but felt that way here. We got to the bottom of that and then kind of reconfirmed, okay, this is the stuff stacked on top of that. Now, what if we had Amanda sit with this for a little bit, and then B, took a look at life on the other side of that, not having to put anything on top of it. And that's really creating possibility. So when we were both going through like, what would be the shift this would create with your clients? What would be the shift this would create with your friends? Amanda and I are co-creating what that future would look like so that she has something to step into, as opposed to just vilifying this part of herself and hoping that's enough for her to change. That doesn't really work. It just has you go in a circle chased by the thing you don't want to be. Any thoughts on that, Amanda? Anything really smart to say?
No, I like the visual of me running away from it and it chasing me, though, this hopelessness, right behind me. Everywhere I go, it's right there.
I like that too. Cool. Well, I think that feels like a really good place for us to wind down.
Okay.
So to anyone listening or watching, if you're interested in being in the hot seat, so to speak, like Amanda was, please reach out to me on Facebook or send an email to pr@adamquiney.com and let us know. I'm curious, Amanda. So I know there was a lot of nerves, stuff like that at the start of this conversation. How was it as we went forward? Were you present to those, or did they?
The nerves went as soon as I spoke what I wanted to speak about. The nerves went. Yeah. So I feel very clear right now.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lesson in that for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I often feel that way with public speaking, which I love doing, but like the worst part of my life is when you're in the wings, you're not yet on stage and they're announcing you and it's like, oh my God, this feels horrible. Why do I do this? And you get out, say 2 words and it's like, okay, I've forgotten all about what sucked. I'm just in the moment and this feels amazing. And that's often my experience in these sort of conversations. It sounds like it was yours too.
Definitely.
Cool. Beautiful work, everyone. Thank you to all of you that tuned in and hung out with us. Some highs. Hey, Kate. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Danielle. Pimenta. Ooh, Pimento. I don't think I know you yet, Danielle. I'm excited to learn more about you. Karen, Lana, Michelle, Derek, Dylan, Satchko, Hubert. Thanks to all of you who came and joined us. Love you all. Have an amazing weekend. And I hope that the new year is off to a brilliant start for all of you. Amanda and I are going to stick on the call for a little longer, but you guys will not see any of that. So adios.